What's up, weirdo? Shade Tree Surgeon here at Tampa Bay Power Sports. You guys know I love a deal, and when I'm looking for a deal, I'm usually looking for something, you know, under $3,000, and I go right for the used section. But today, we're going under $3,000, and it's gonna be brand spanking new. Now, trust me, there is ways to get out of the dealership on something brand new under $3,000, but most of the time they aren't street legal, or if they are street legal, yeah, they're not exactly a full-size motorcycle. Got the Honda Navi and these new CF Moto Papio SS. It's a cool looking bike. Looks like a little mini Husqvarna. Not that I'd be in the market for one, but that is a good looking bike. I was 18 or 19 years old and I walked by one of those little CF Moto Papio SS's. I would really want one. And even though the Navi is cheaper, looking at those things side by side, hey, I'm not shilling for CF Moto and I'm not leaving with one, but that is just a really cool looking motorcycle. Now, last time we were here, we bought a Honda Trail 125. We were pretty excited to buy something that MSRP is for less than $4,000. We're going $1,000 less than that this time, and in the same vein as the Trail 125, but with an extra gear and an extra 25 cc, a few more inches in height. The bike we're taking home today, of course, is the Honda XR150L. The real question right now, though, is how is this thing going to stack up against the Trail 125? Because on paper, it seems like it blows it out of the water. But on paper and in practice are oftentimes two very, very different things. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm having to get kind of creative for the camera angles here because I'm having a tough time finding a camera angle to get two motorcycles in the same shot that both are basically waist height on me. In the Defender's corner, we've got Old Faithful, the Trail 125, the unsinkable Molly Brown, baby as made famous by Ed March, of course, and on this side is also Old Faithful. This thing has been out for years and years and years all over the rest of the world, and it's well known as a farm bike, and there's just as many people throwing a cow or half their family on the back roads of some tiny mountain village going down a road that's got room for this motorcycle and, you know, hopes and prayers as there is on the Trail 125. They're both insanely popular all over the world, and they're both incredibly proven motorcycles. And at first glance, even though they are shaped differently, you go like, hey, this is pretty much the same motorcycle, but they're not in the slightest. And to be totally honest, besides the fact that they're both Hondas and they're both powered by air-cooled single overhead camshaft engines, these bikes have almost nothing in common at all. Even though the Honda Trail has trail in the name, I would say that the XR150 is probably the better off-road machine, even though there's way more tech on this little Honda designed to make it, I guess, not better handling off-road, tougher off-road. It's got a lot of concessions to just making it a really tough, long-lasting motorcycle that's going to put up with a ton of abuse. And when you look at them side by side, it's really easy to tell that the Honda Trail 125 is definitely built like a brick shithouse, dude. This thing is a tank. Not just any tank, but a submersible tank. In fact, the air cleaner goes all the way up underneath this rear rack under here. It's really trick, man. Just stuff all over this little motorcycle really is just designed to make it like undefeatable. And while the Trail 125 only gives up 25 cc's, the XR150 has it beat by almost 2 horsepower, which doesn't sound like anything, but when you're measuring your horsepower in the single digits, and in the XR150's case, the very first of the double digits, 2 horsepower is actually kind of a big deal. The biggest things for me that really make the XR a winner over the Trail 125, even though I gotta say that I think the Trail's a better overall motorcycle, is the fact that the Trail doesn't have a clutch and it's only a 4-speed, which for what it's made for is absolutely fine. And the Trail 125 isn't my bike. It's Shay Lisi's bike. It works perfect for her. The XR150L, that one's for me. The XR150L, it's got a couple more horsepower, but it's got a few things that I like way more than that. It's got that magic little lever over here. It has a clutch and it's got 5 speeds, and this thing is simple as a stone. Believe it or not, that little Trail 125 over there has got miles and miles of wiring. It's got an ECU. It's got all the stuff a modern bike would have, and it has ABS in the front. This thing is still just a dirt bike, and really almost a pit bike. It is 100% street legal, even though it really won't do highway speeds. They say it can do 70. I very much doubt that to be true, but we'll find out here in a little bit. But even more amazing than the fact that they're able to sell it for $2,900, $1,000 cheaper than the Trail 125, this thing's carbureted. Yes, in the year 2024, you can still walk into a Honda dealership and get a brand new carbureted street legal motorcycle. That means none of the bull crap, ABS, ECUs, all that crazy stuff. You can still just get a regular, plain Jane, old motorcycle. Headlights, taillights, turn signals, the whole freaking deal. And from what they claim, 124 miles a gallon. I'm not really much of a facts and figures guys. I don't really like to rattle off specs. I'd much rather ride these things. So let's do that and just see how they stack up against each other.
Test your might.
Let's immediately start out with what the XR150 doesn't have. You see that right there? You see that little indentation right there? That's where a big old drill should come and put a hole in there, and there should be a Kickstarter sticking out of it. It doesn't have one, which I think is really lame. And the fact that this fuel-injected Trail 125 does have a Kickstarter is just as cool as it is lame that that doesn't have one. I suppose it must have been to save cost. They saw that thing so damn cheap. Maybe they just couldn't put a Kickstarter on it and keep it at the same cost. I don't know. And you might say it's so cheap to put a Kickstarter on a bike, and it might be really cheap for them to engineer a Kickstarter into that bike, but it's not free. There's a cost involved. There's a cost in the raw materials. There's a cost in engineering. There's a cost in the machines and the people have to make. Like, there is a cost involved to put in a Kickstarter on a bike for sure. Though I will tell you, I get it. I understand why they felt okay leaving it off that bike and putting it on this one. And it's not just like the survival Swiss Army knife, do anything aspect of the Trail 125, although that does make sense to put one on there. You want it to be on there. You want to be able to start this thing anywhere in any condition, but this has an auto clutch, so I don't think you can push start this motorcycle. So if you want to start it with a dead battery, you gotta kickstart it. And that one, the thing weighs like 270 pounds. You should be able to bump start that no matter what. Okay, the Trail 125 has done a verified 65 miles an hour with Shea Lisi on it. My fat ass, I'm usually lucky to hit about 50. Let's see if it's possible. We got 50 miles an hour, baby. It is possible. It can do it. 300 pounds on the Trail 125, but 50 miles an hour, that's about all this thing's gonna give you. All 8.5 screaming horsepower of it. Not sure what this thing feels like on the road. It doesn't quite feel like a scooter, but it doesn't quite feel like a motorcycle either. Just something in between. I think definitely more motorcycle than scooter, but I don't know, man. I really like it. I have a great time on this bike. I think they're so much freaking fun, but it isn't quite a motorcycle, is it? Oh, it's a 51? It's never been done before. 51 miles an hour, baby. A new personal best. A new world record. And let's see how we do off-road here. As I've said before, this motorcycle is not an off-road motorcycle. It really isn't. Can it go off-road? Sure. But any motorcycle can go off-road, just pointing at any section of the world that's not paved, and baby, you're going off-road. Is it good at it? No. Can you stand up easily? Not really. Like, you could stand up for a big bump, but really the only reason you're going to stand up for a big bump is so it doesn't just bounce you off the seat. You got to think of this thing more like a tractor off-road and less like a dirt bike. Although I will tell you, if they had bothered to put the low-range, high-range transmission on this thing, again, I get it. It doesn't really make sense for cost efficiency, but if they had put that on this motorcycle, I will tell you this, it would have made a big difference off-road, because like I said, this thing is way more like a tractor, and even the controls, the heel-toe shifter, it doesn't really work that well off-road. Like, if you're going off-road on this thing, you're really just going off-road to get somewhere. You're not going off-road to, like, rip it, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean you can't have a good time. Doesn't mean you can't see beautiful things. That doesn't mean you can't go on an adventure. But are you going to be tearing up the gnar on the Trail 125 and taking it off sweet jumps, ripping wheelies and foot-down turnarounds? Not really, man. It's not really the bike for that. I'm not saying it can't be done. There's someone out there who can do it. It's just not my fat ass. But as far as just like regular, just going off-road, the thing is tough as nails, dude. It's built to take the abuse. You're going to be just fine as long as you keep out of anything like really gnarly. And even if it's really gnarly, you know, you just waddle it through or get off the damn thing, twist the throttle and push it through, and it's going to make it through just about anything. The foot position, the way the handlebars are, they're just like nothing really about this that really lends itself to standing up. And in fact, when I'm on a dirt bike, I usually feel a lot safer and a lot better standing up. When I stand up on this thing, it just feels more dangerous than anything. And there's that whole no clutch thing. The fact that it doesn't have a clutch, is a real bummer, because manipulating the clutch, that's where all the fun lies off-road, man. For me, and this is my biggest beef with electric dirt bikes, because I would love an electric dirt bike, it's hard for me to imagine being any kind of technical off-road without the use of a clutch. And when I say technical, I mean like, you know, like enduro riding, like deep sand and technical riding. I'm not talking about motocross or what I'm doing right now, which is basically just going from point A to point B. You know, it's not like it's not fun. It's not like it's not capable. Here I am going 25 miles an hour, and this is just grass. It's just bumpy grass, but it's capable of it. It can do it, baby. It's just fine. Although I am just like kind of a little worried about hitting some big bump that I didn't see because it's hidden by this grass, because this rear suspension will launch me right the fuck off this thing, okay? Yeah, like that right there. And again, you're more, gosh, it almost feels better just let the terrain like bounce me out of the seat to take the bumps, which is normal. A lot of people do that. They'll let the terrain bounce them out of the seat to help them stand up, especially when you're doing an endurance race. It feels better to do that and just come off the seat a little bit to take these bumps than it does to stand up and just ride this. Like, it just does not seem stable or safe. I don't know if that's suspension. I don't know if it's the little tiny wheels that are on this thing. I really don't know. And people have done the Trans-American Trail on this thing. But the Trans-American Trail isn't about who can make it from point A to point B the fastest. It's about seeing beautiful terrain and enjoying yourself. I'm just pointing it out, man. I'm not saying that it's good, bad, better, worse, or anything like that. I'm just pointing out the fact that this is not like a raging off-road machine, even though it has trail in the name. Being capable and being capable of doing something are oftentimes two very, very different things. All right, let's see if I got enough daylight left to take the XR 150 for a back-to-back rip. Although neither of these motorcycles really do what I would qualify as rip. 2024, and yes, it has a choke. Though I've never had to use it. Immediately get on this thing and instantaneously like it more. Just can't really get over the fact that I'll always want a clutch, man. Even if I'm not shifting gears and I had an electric motorcycle, I'd still want a clutch. I know you don't need it, but I'd still want it. I know it's probably not really that much faster, but god dang, it feels faster. It's got dials instead of a digital speedometer, which I like better. I know they just did it because it's cheaper, but I still like it better. I just like this motorcycle better. It feels more like I'm riding a motorcycle. I'm not trying to trash the Trail 125 here, but I like this better. Now, I still don't think I'm going to be able to best 60 miles an hour on this thing, but I know I can at least break 50 on it, and it's a whole hell of a lot easier to get there too, with even like a little bit of power left over, and that all-important fifth gear, which is why I imagine this thing is claimed to be able to get over 100 miles a gallon, 124 miles a gallon, Honda says, but the Trail 125 only gets 100. Only 100, I know. Heavens to Betsy. Who could afford to drive such a thing? Only 100 miles a gallon? Yeah, this just feels way more like a motorcycle to me. I don't know, man. I really like the XR. It just feels like a little dirt bike to me. I feel way more comfortable standing up on the thing. Like, it just, the standing position just feels like a natural position to go into right away. And there's the fact that it doesn't have the little bitty tiny wheels that the Trail 125 has. And again, you know, this thing, the suspension isn't valved for me, but it just feels so much more capable off-road, like instantaneously, mainly to do with the wheels. There's also no front ABS, so you can feel a lot more confident using your front brake, a lot more confident standing up, although it definitely needs some bigger foot pegs. These things are freaking tiny. Of course, with my Dad Force 1s on, I also feel exactly how tiny they are because they're digging into my feet. It just feels way more like a motorcycle that's supposed to be off-road. And that's because it is, man. The Trail 125, it was designed to be able to take whatever you can throw at it. A Swiss Army knife. But just like a Swiss Army knife, when you can do everything, it means you're not really good at anything. And this is definitely like a little do-everything bike too, but the fact that it has a clutch, to me, that just immediately... First off, being able to dump the clutch and spin the rear wheel just adds so much more fun to an off-road motorcycle.
Oh, you definitely got to be different to the beans to get that rear wheel spinning. It is possible. It is possible to spin the rear wheel. It's possible to do a foot down turnaround. Like, this bike can do a lot of things off-road that the Trail 125 can. And is it going to be a great off-road machine? No, it's not, dude. It's an XR 150. There's no way you're going to go through deep sand or super technical terrain or anything like this. But for me, I would have a lot more fun on this off-road than I am going to have on the Trail 125. And if I'm being honest, I think a lot more fun on the road too. Of course, that false sense of bravado I get is liable to bite me in the ass if I really spend too much time on these stock street tires off-road, dude. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. The fact that you can do this, the fact that you can spin donuts on this thing, just that fact alone makes me like this so much more. And if you ask politely, it'll even do a wheelie. Now, as I always say, it's actually, one of these street tires really have enough traction to really lift the front wheel much. As I always say, anything with two wheels will do a wheelie, but it's a whole hell of a lot harder to do a wheelie on a bike with no clutch. Yes, the Trail 125 would do a wheelie if you positioned your body right and bounced on the seat and pushed on the handlebars and did all those things. It will 100% do a wheelie, but with this one, all you gotta do is pop the clutch and it's gonna pull the front wheel up. I will say I am biased. Obviously, I value the off-road ability of this higher, which makes it a better bike for me. It's also the clutch, it's also the seating position. It just feels better to ride. Now, I think that the Trail 125 looks a lot cooler. I think it definitely looks cooler. It's such a funky looking little bike. I really love it. But this one feels better to actually be on to me. That little step through thing and the weird like seat, it's fine. I like it. I could ride plenty of miles on it. I just like this better. And again, this is just like a grass freaking 2-lane like truck route behind a strawberry farm. You know, this is not real off-roading, but for the most part, if you're doing like Trans-American Trail or you're doing MADBR, any of the BDRs, like there's some pretty crazy sections on some of those roads, but most of it looks just like this, or it might be a little gravel or a little hard pack or whatever, but most of it is just fire roads, baby, that you could take a Honda Civic down, let alone a Trail 125 or an XR 150. Like, you're gonna be fine. I think the biggest thing that would mess with you out of anything is just if you get up high in the mountains and you're trying to climb up something slow, is just not having any power. Don't really know if this is any faster. I think that if somebody out there just really actually times it, it's not gonna be any faster, but it feels faster. And isn't that what really matters? I don't know, it's what really matters to me. Don't let me talk you out of a Trail 125. Shay Lisi loves her Trail 125. I think that at the end of the day, yeah, being able to spin the rear wheel is nice. Okay, but at the end of the day, I like this bike better. Now, does that mean I have reviewed both these bikes and the XR 150 wins? No, this is just the right bike for me. I like this bike better. It's more of what I want. I love the Trail 125 too, and the Trail 125, it's more of what Shay Lisi wants. I'm sorry, man. If you were looking at this video to make up your mind, I'm sorry, I probably didn't help you do that. But, you know, I don't really do reviews, man. I'll leave the reviewers to do the reviews. I'm not a reviewer. I'm just an enthusiast, baby. Yeah, if you were looking for me to help make up your mind, maybe I helped you, but I still can't even make up my mind which one of these motorcycles is better. I think this one's better for me. This one's definitely cooler. I love the way the Trail 125 looks, like so much better than the XR 150, but damn, is that thing way more fun to ride. Not only is it fun to ride, but it's great to teach people how to use a clutch too. If you've been watching, you've seen that we've taught several people how to ride on the Trail 125. It's easy, it's approachable, it's low to the ground, and it doesn't have a clutch, so someone can kind of get used to riding around on two wheels with a throttle. But we got to upgrade them to something if they want to learn how to ride a clutch, and really they should just go take the motorcycle course. But you know, a lot of people want to learn how to use it before they commit to taking the motorcycle course, and the XR 150 is perfect for that. In fact, in the next video, we are teaching Miss Chloe Cox how to ride a clutch on that motorcycle. And right now, over at Forgotten Angels, they're also teaching somebody how to use a clutch on this bike after teaching them how to ride with a throttle on an automatic bike. A young man showed up to the Forgotten Angels property a couple days ago. He actually walked there. He walked 8 miles to get to Forgotten Angels. If you're just tuning into this video and you don't know what we do with Forgotten Angels, I'm going to explain here in a minute, but this was a young man who aged out of
of foster care, was homeless, had no options whatsoever, was just really looking down the barrel of a gun of being homeless and having absolutely no resources, no network, no nothing. Well, I don't know how he heard about Forgotten Angels. I've only met him once so far, but I'm certainly going to find out. He walked his butt to Forgotten Angels, and let me tell you what, there's a smile on his face now because he showed up there. He's a nice kid. He's already learned how to ride a motorcycle, and his outlook's looking a lot brighter right now than it was a few days ago, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Motorcycles kind of bring it all together. Not doing well when you're not happy and when your back's against the wall. I'm telling you what, man, jumping on a motorcycle, you guys already know that feels pretty good, but learning how to ride a motorcycle for the first time, that's awesome. And speaking of Forgotten Angels, let's talk about this absolute unit over here. The Triumph Rocket 3 is about as far away from the XR150 and the Trail 125 as you can get, both in size and philosophy. With the XR and the Trail, we have less is more, and with the Rocket 3, we have more is never enough. But this Rocket 3, donated by a very good man, my friend Frank, donated to Forgotten Angels so we can raffle it off to help young men and young women, much like the young man who I was just talking about before. This bike can be your bike for way cheaper than the XR150 or the Trail 125. It could be yours for 25 bucks. We're pulling this at the camp out, which is coming up. More on that in a second. But yes, you can own this Rocket 3. And no, it's not exactly perfect right now, but we're working on that. So let's go ahead and give this thing a bath. And I want to jump on that raffle now. That link's down below. Just want to get the dust knocked off this thing real quick before we repaint some parts that got a little bit scratched up. All the stuff that's actually physically wrong with it, not cosmetic, we've already fixed. The thing runs like a champion, but you know, I just wanted to clean it off, get the dirt off of it, and then we're gonna go over it and make it look as good as it runs. But before we do that, let's dry it off. And let me tell you what, we don't use chamois around here. I know exactly how to dry off a Triumph Rocket 3. Yeah, I'd say that's the best way to dry off a Triumph Rocket 3. 2,300 cc's of incredibly angry motorcycle. The cool thing about the Rocket 3 motor is they left a lot of power in it. It's actually really, really under stress, and you can pump way more horsepower out of these things if you want to. Not that you really need to. You know, I think the bike is pretty much dry, but, you know, we better make sure. Woo! Golly, dude. This is something this big does not feel like it should be able to do that. It just doesn't feel right in all the right ways. Woo-hoo! Pulling that front end up in second gear, dude, doesn't ever get old. Damn, dude. Yeah, I think we're dry now, but you gotta make sure, okay? I don't want any hard water spots on this thing, all right? I'm doing it for you guys, okay? You guys are the one who are entering to win this thing. All right. We do have some work to do to make this thing shine again, but it won't be hard, man. There's some scratches here on the tank that I know will come out. I don't think they're past the clear coat. Got a couple parts to repaint. Give it a little bit of elbow grease, baby, and this sucker will be looking good. Although some people like the patina look. I'll leave it up to you, if you win it, to put the patina back on it. What with the Rocket 3 and making this sucker shine again, we're just gonna go ahead and start from the front and work our way to the back. Having to go in a little extra hard on these scratches up here. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did. Now let's see if we can get rid of some of these scratches in the clear coat. They're not bad. They should come right out. Just taking a little break from work on the Triumph Rocket 3 because we got a whole lot of t-shirts to send out. When I say we, I mean the royal we, although she's working alone right now. Shade Tree Surgeon's labor ranch for wayward girls doesn't have a whole lot of company right now, but listen up, baby. Dr. Girlfriend, you're all I need. She's a hard worker. She could do it all by herself, man. I think I'm gonna let her do that and go drop some off, so don't mess up. There will be consequences. Make sure to go follow the mysterious Dr. Girlfriend, soon to be the mysterious Captain Dr. Girlfriend. Follow her on Instagram, follow her journey. She's getting her captain's license, and show her a little love as she's showing all your packages a little love over here. Sometimes a little too much love. There's gonna be a blonde hair on a shirt and someone's gonna get in TROUBLE, baby. Thank me later. I'm saving a marriage right now. I don't know how you'd explain that one, boys. Still got some scratches in here. They're really looking a lot better, but still a couple in here. So I'm gonna hit it for a little while longer. Let's try a little more aggressive foam. Probably can't even see these dang scratches on the camera, but I got a couple defects in here that unfortunately I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to get them out. You're looking better, but I think we can do even better. I don't know how well any of this is coming out on video and how much of a difference you can tell. Probably tell a little more difference in real life, in person. There's almost no paint job as long as it still has the clear coat that can't be brought back to like pretty much showroom condition. Now, there's exceptions, of course, and this isn't showroom finished. This is a lot better than it was. It's not perfect. You can still see some small imperfections here and there. I just don't trust myself enough to cut it as hard as it would need to get all the way down to really get out every single imperfection. I'm way more likely just to burn up the paint job, but this is good enough and it's pretty good for doing it at home. And yes, you can do it to your motorcycle too. Now I'm gonna show you guys a trick with this engine that I used to use on my Rocket 3 all the time. The Rocket 3 is all engine. The entire frame is just like this little thing that sits on top of the engine. It's all engine. You want the engine to look good. And with mine, I like that engine to be shining, almost wet black. And believe it or not, what always worked best for me is just plain old tire wet. Tire wet sucks for motorcycle tires, but for motorcycle engines, I freaking love it. I have spent many hours doing this to my Triumph Rocket 3 over the years. And I say many hours not because it needs it all the time, but because I always like to do it because I think it makes the engine just look phenomenal. Yeah, that looks a lot better if you ask me. That looks much better. Now we got these guys up here. These are the protectors for the fork sliders. Rocket 3 has upside down forks, and obviously you don't want any rocks hitting that right here. That's the job of these things, to stop the rocks. Now, I understand why someone would want to spray paint them black. After all, everything else on the motorcycle is black and those are chrome. Unfortunately, and I don't know if it was Frank who spray painted them, like I said, I get it, but they have to be either chrome or powder coated because they just take too much of a beating from rocks to be spray painted. Maybe there's a spray paint that exists that would stand up to the abuses of the road that I don't know about, but I don't know about it, so I'm actually just gonna go ahead and strip these things back to chrome, and I think it's gonna look a lot better. I don't know if Aircraft Stripper messes up chrome or not, but I guess we're about to find out together, and if it does, I guess we're gonna learn how to powder coat. let's go ahead and pull this front fender off and get this sucker cleaned up too. Already looks a lot better, but I think we can do even better than that. Yeah, I can dig it, baby. I can dig it. So a little bit more for these last couple of stubborn little pieces, and we're good to go on these bad boys. Let's go ahead and clean the rest of this up while we wait. All right, let's finish cleaning these suckers up. Ooh, yeah, that still looks good, baby. All right, all right, all right. Can you dig your man? That looks good. Let's do it again. Damn, look at that difference, dude. That is freaking astounding. Oh yeah, much better. That's more like it. I dig it, baby. Now, just because I didn't want to spray paint the front pieces doesn't mean that spray paint ain't going to be our best option for this thing. Let's rough it up. Back at it, baby. Can't shine everything else and then not do the windshield. Come on now. Is that? Yeah, I think it is. I think that's standard hardware. Sure is. We'll replace it with metric. Are those two different sizes? They sure are. Is one a 7/16 and the other one 10 millimeter? Sure is. We'll put metric ones back in that are the same size. I'm not judging. I have absolutely done this before. Yeah, still a couple of little imperfections in it, but there are some things that don't buff out. The rest of it looks so damn good though, you ain't gonna notice. And now that we got the windshield out of the way, let's make all this look pretty. And now we can replace all this with some nice gold grade 8 hardware. It certainly doesn't need grade 8 hardware. It looks a lot better in there. Oops, but I'll drop it. It looks a lot better in there. And now everything's metric. Just a little bit of a bummer because I cleaned these parts up, obviously stripped them, and there's chrome underneath. I think they were actually painted from the factory and then repainted when they got damaged. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Frank. The problem is, it's not a problem. It just sucks that the chrome, even though it's just plastic chrome, is actually still pretty nice, man. Even here where it's scratched up a little bit, it's not that bad really. And I'd like to just put it back on as chrome, but this much chrome on a black bike isn't gonna look good. I think just a little bit here and there, a couple little accents will look awesome, but covering the entire radiator in it, I think will look terrible. So even though the chrome still looks pretty good, we're still painting it black. One of the cool and annoying things about paint is that you don't have to sit around and watch it dry. And luckily for me, or unluckily, I've got plenty of distractions. If you remember this white FXR, my man Sick Boy won it last year and he's coming down to pick it up here real soon at the camp out coming up, and I figured I'd get it all shined up for him and ride it over there. Plus all the boys from the Red Rum Motorcycle Club are over there helping with the cleanup, getting ready for the camp out, and I couldn't possibly let those guys get away without saying howdy and having a beer with them, right? It's only the right thing to do. So it's my good man Dr. Dad over here who made the introduction. Dr. Dad with the 7-foot tall son over here, and he just introducing me to my man Chino over here, who's the president of the Tampa chapter of Red Rum Motorcycle motorcycles.
Nice to meet y'all. Good to be on the channel.
Well, they're up here, they're helping out, and I think we got some pretty cool stuff planned. We're gonna go talk about possible ways that Red Rum can help out Forgotten Angels while also having a good time. That's our whole motto, bad people doing good things, all right? Let's see if we can do something about this too. I think we're gonna need something a little stronger than Steel Wolf for this. There we go. Perfect? Nah. Better? Yeah. Much better. Is this thing perfect? No. Runs perfect. Does it look perfect? Nah, man. But it's as good as it needs to look for a Rocket 3, because Rocket 3s at the end of the day were made for hauling ass, not looking pretty. Huge thanks to my man Frank for donating this amazing motorcycle to Forgotten Angels. You've done an amazing thing, and huge thanks to everybody who's bought a raffle ticket to win this Rocket 3. Only one person can win it. I don't want to sound ridiculous and say, every person who bought a raffle ticket's a winner, because you're helping out people who are less fortunate than you. You're helping out young men and women and saving them from becoming homeless. I don't want to be like, well, you're a winner for doing that, but legitimately, you are. It's an amazing thing you're doing, and David and Cindy and Forgotten Angels and everybody involved, and Jason now from Sugar Tree Farm in Oregon, everybody involved in this and doing their best to try to make the world a better place, what little we can affect it, and we can affect change. We can change the world for the better. We're doing it together. Are we going to solve all the world's problems? No. Can we make the world a little bit better through our actions? Yes, we can. As I always say, please don't buy a raffle ticket if you're financially unable to buy one. You don't want to put yourself in a bad place. You don't want to gamble money because you're trying to win a bike. That's not what this is about. This is about raising money for charity. It's about doing something good for somebody who has less than you. If you've got nothing, don't buy a raffle ticket. If you only have $25, don't spend it on a raffle ticket. But if you got a little bit extra and you want to help out somebody that has less than you, and you want a chance to win a Triumph Rocket 3 and a plane ticket to Florida to go fishing, party for 3 days, and then haul your ass back home on this thing, well, that link's down below. We are bad people doing good things, and I don't know who's gonna win the bike, but looking forward to meeting whoever it is, and maybe it's you. That's gonna about do it for this one. There's only 6 days left to get in on this to buy a ticket, and of course, $100 worth of tickets gets you into the camp out that we're having next week. There is a cost to the camp out this year. It's $100, but the $100 for the camp out, which you can pay online on the Forgotten Angels website, or you can pay in person, or save your seat from buying $100 worth of raffle tickets. That gets you in just fine. It gets you in for the 3 nights of camping, Thursday to Friday, Friday to Saturday, and Saturday to Sunday. We're gonna feed you every single day, and there'll be as much beer as you can drink, and water and soda if you don't drink beer. Don't worry, you don't have to drink beer. But if you want to drink beer, there's gonna be plenty of it. And the Saturday of the camp out, 6 days from now, we're gonna be pulling the new winner to this Triumph Rocket 3 live on the stage in front of all of our friends at the Forgotten Angels Brat Star Weirdo Family Reunion. The camp out really doesn't have a name. I'll see you guys there, and until next time, keep it weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shade Tree, army. Shade Tree, army. They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shade Tree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.